It's time to update the power rankings, and guess what? Two teams are creeping their way up and maybe thinking about a pennant.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. And you can follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter, or whatever it's called now. And on Instagram, I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. And this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Strange things are afoot in baseball. It was a wild night of baseball and a wild day. A lot of things. A wild day and afternoon of baseball. Go follow the Locked On A's podcast, which I also host. And the A's fell behind the Mets 5-0. 5-0. And J.J. Bleday homered, hit a grand slam, actually. And along the way, the A's wound up winning that series. And the Mets are staring at, a collapse that could put them out of the postseason picture. Now, the Braves haven't exactly been playing world-beating baseball, but Mets, if you're trying to gain ground, you can't lose games at home to teams that are in the bottom 3 or 4 of the power rankings. And by the way, the Phillies, we'll get to the rankings in a second, but the Phillies are starting to right the ship after a bad stretch, and they had Weston Wilson hitting for the cycle. I think that's pretty cool. And Logan Webb pitched a fabulous game for the Giants against the Braves. So it was a fun night, and we're going to have a strange, fun weekend of baseball. Here's the deal. It is now mid-August. In a couple of weeks will be September. There are roughly 40 games left. 40. So you can't use the whole it's early anymore. 40 games. There are fewer games left than they played in the COVID season. So when you looked at the standings at the end of the COVID season, it's like, well, that's too short a sample size. We have a smaller sample size for the rest of this year. So if you're on the outside looking in right now, you have to put on the aft thrusters. Now, we're going to take a look at the power rankings, which, as always, are done not just by me, but by all of the hosts on the Locked On Podcast Network. We all vote in. I don't always agree, but I think we can agree, despite the fact that they stopped their 20-some-odd game losing streak in Oakland and won another game against the Yankees and had a lead in the third game before the bottom absolutely dropped out. Number 30, the Chicago White Sox, now being led by Grady Sizemore. Grady Sizemore, one of those players who, when healthy, was absolutely terrific, but alas, was never healthy. So good on him for, at least I have no idea if he's going to be a long-term solution. He's probably not, but at least he gets to tell his grandchildren that he got to be a major league manager. There's some people who should have been major league managers who never got the shot. Chris Chambliss is the most obvious choice I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen someone who was more qualified to be a major league manager who never got even an interim Grady Sizemore gig. And I think it's a shame. But hey, good for Grady Sizemore. Maybe he will be a good manager. I don't know. There's no movement there. The White Sox are the worst team in baseball. They were at number 30 last week. Number 29, down a spot, are the Marlins. The Marlins were a playoff team last year. Do you remember that? At least they're saying they're not going to trade Sandy Alcantara in the offseason. Yeah, but try to keep some of your decent players there. Number 28 are the Rockies. again, rough year to be a Colorado Rockies fan. And, you know, and there you go. At number 27, the aforementioned A's, who were the best team in the American League in July and have been playing winning baseball in August. But Miguel Ledesma, who is a follower of the podcast, is basically telling A's fans to relax. He says, to A's fans, don't get too excited. I take it you're a Met fan. Don't get too excited about this series win against my Mets. We suck. You did what you're supposed to do. Now go out and do it against real teams. Yikes. File that under yikes. Remember when everyone was saying that I didn't know what I was talking about? And when I was saying maybe the Mets weren't really a playoff team, and Met fans hated me for saying it. Now we have Met fans saying they're not a real team. Well, the A's beat the Astros and the A's beat the Phillies. The A's have beaten some good teams recently. So, hey, there you go. And at number 26 are the Angels. Now, here's an interesting thing. The A's are idle on Friday. I don't know why, and neither do you. But the Braves are going to be playing the Angels. If the Braves beat the Angels tomorrow and the A's are idle, then the A's and Angels will be tied. That's right. The A's, who lost 110 some odd games last year, have no budget, no fans in the stands. They're going to move to Sacramento, maybe eventually move to Las Vegas. I don't believe it. They have a very strong chance that they will not finish in last place. And if there is anything that is an indictment of the Angels management, it's that forget winning a World Series, forget having a winning team. They may finish behind the A's. If they lose tomorrow, all the A's have to do is play one game better than the Angels the rest of the way, and the Angels will finish the season in the cellar. Fire everybody and bring in a new owner. Number 25, you have the Nationals, who are just, sinking fast. At number 24, why wasn't there major moves made? Why wasn't there managerial changes made with the Toronto Blue Jays, who are one of the worst teams in baseball right now? After having all that talent on the team, they should have legitimately contended for one pennant, and now they're this. I don't get it, and neither do you. The defending champion Rangers, who had a wild come-from-behind win against Boston the other day, but lost today to Minnesota, they are non-factors. But hey, Javier Baez sighting today, as he had a 2-run home run for the Detroit Tigers to win a game against the Mariners. I'm sure the Mariners are kicking themselves in the shin. Tigers are at number 22. Remember I picked them to win the division? That pick doesn't look very good now. The Pirates were a contender, and for one day after Memorial Day, for one glorious day, Pirate fans woke up and saw their team were tied for a wild card spot. Well, now they're at number 21. And they should be better than what they've been doing. They got hit with a buzzsaw that was the San Diego Padres. More on them later. But the Pirates should be better than this. So should the Reds. But here they are as part of the absolute scrum of teams that are floundering around just on the outside looking in of contending for a National League wildcard spot. As of this recording, the Pirates are 7.5 back, and the Reds are 4 back. It's tough to make up 4 games, and it's almost impossible to make up 7.5 games when you only have 40 games left. All right, we come back. We'll go through the middle, which is where it's almost hit shuffle, but some of the teams are starting to fall back. And you know what? You may see some teams having to say goodbye to whatever hope they had for a trip to the postseason. All right, let's hear a little bit from our friends over at Liquid IV. You got to stay hydrated. It's hot, especially here in California. If you go to a ball game, you should stay hydrated. How are you going to do it? By eating ice cream out of one of those cups one of those helmets? No, what you got to do is hydrate with Liquid IV's Popsicle Firecracker flavor. It's a surefire summer hit. Get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the number one powdered hydration brand in America, because baseball and summer go together like Liquid IV and indulgent hydration. Blast off with the iconic summer flavor of Popsicle Firecracker, a festive blend of citrus-fueled lemon, lime, tart cherry, and raspberry flavors. Find your favorite flavors on the website, from acai berry, lemon lime to pina colada. Tear, pour, live more. One stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. Powered by LIV, Hydra Science, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop for better hydration today. Start by using the promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. All right, if you've been listening to this show for a while, then you probably already know everything you need to know about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's number one daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections. Watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community. You can now win 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as few as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. And Prize Picks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including Texas, Georgia, here in California. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. In the end, it's really that easy. It's funny. The script here asks me to make sure you listen to Locked On MLB, but I guess you already do that. So what I'm going to say you do for your second listen, your first listen is here at Locked On MLB, but for your second listen, check out Locked On A's. That's right. I host that show too. And you may not be a fan of the A's, but let me tell you something. We are having some interesting shows and some fun shows. And it's a strange year for the A's. You may want to catch up what we're doing there. We're talking about the final year in Oakland. We're talking about the Sacramento and maybe Las Vegas move. And believe it or not, we're also talking about some pretty good baseball. Since the beginning of July, the A's have been playing as one of the best teams in the American League. And just the other day, we did a show where I went to all the different spots in the Bay Area where the A's proposed to build a ballpark. It's an interesting show. Check out Locked On MLB, available on Locked On A's, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. All right, keep moving on here. At number 19 are the Tampa Bay Rays. That's up a couple of spots. And the Rays are weird, as they tend to be. They've dropped their last 3 games, and they've now fallen 6.5 back of a playoff spot. And it might be too late in 40 games to make up 6.5 games. They are having a losing record. But do you know what? People have gone broke underestimating the Rays. Look out. The Cubs, remember everyone thought the Cubs were going to win the division? Well, the Cubs are now a sub-500 team. The Cubs are on a 3-game losing streak. By the way, I didn't mention the fact the Pirates are on a 10-game losing streak. Remember, they were 56 and 54? It's tough to drop 10 games down the stretch. Well, the Cubs are on a 3-game losing streak and are falling like a rock. The Cardinals are not doing much better. They've dropped 7 of their last 10 games, including their last 4. So what this means is, for the Reds, who have won their last 4 games and are at least hanging around, but it's looking better and better for the Milwaukee Brewers. And I'll get into that a little bit because they could be throwing a real monkey wrench into the pennant plans for some teams. At number 14 are the Atlanta Braves. Now, the Braves are at 14 and the Mets are at 13. I don't know what's going on with some of the hosts voting here at the Locked On Podcast Network. But the Braves currently have a playoff spot, and the Mets don't. Now, obviously, it's only 2 games that separate the two, and there's 40 games left. You can make up 2 games in 40 games. But the Mets aren't showing you anything right now. The Mets have to play with a sense of urgency, and dropping a 5-0 game to the Oakland A's doesn't quite show that to me. And number 12 are the Red Sox. The Red Sox who lost again. I think they're a winning team that just aren't good enough. I think they're an 82 to 84 win team, which is a big improvement. And they have some of the spots there. But I don't see them as an elite club. And I by the way, I skipped over the Giants. Sorry, I skipped over the Giants or the number 16. They won today. They have the good pitching. If any team can make up 5 games in the loss column, it might be the Giants, just because I like their pitching. And if they get Snell and Ray and Webb and everyone pitching well, today Logan Webb pitched into the 8th inning, pitched a shutout into the 8th against the Braves. I mean, that's a way to chip away at it. I just might be too little too late, but we'll see. We'll see. And the Mariners are shooting themselves in the foot. They've dropped their last 3 games, and they've gone from being in a virtual tie at the top of the American League West to right now they're behind by 3 games against Houston, who's won their last 8. We'll get to Houston in just a bit, but you can't go on 3-game losing streaks at this point. You have to stay focused. The Mariners, if they make the playoffs, I'd probably pick them to win the pennant, but there's a real good chance they're not even going to make the playoffs at all. And Astro haters, look out. The team is starting to look good. They're number 11, and with an 8-game winning streak, they're probably not going to catch the Guardians, the Orioles, or the Yankees, so they would probably have to play the wild card series. But we've seen that's not exactly been a bad thing for a contending ball club. All right, we come back. We're going to do the top 10, and there are 2 teams that are in the top 10 that are, quite frankly, making some of the contenders nervous. All right, this is a time of the year. It's the end of summer, and some people want to have one last big party, one last big barbecue or something. Well, let me suggest you download Ibotta and use that so you could fund it. What do I mean? It's summertime, and when you got the final barbecue going on, you want to stock up on all your grilling favorites and earn cash back on every purchase when you use Ibotta. So you won't have to choose between burgers or dogs. You can get both. Ibotta is a free app that allows you to earn cash back every time you shop. Earn on hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies, even beach toys. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $256 a year. That could cover the cost of a barbecue or a shopping trip or a fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps just give you points that they don't amount to much. With Ibotta, you can earn cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. Simply add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, the money is yours. You can save on over 2,400 brands and shop at over 1,000 retailers, including your favorite grocery stores, Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. It's time you join the over 50 million users who use Ibotta to earn cash back every time they shop. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Go to the App Store or Google Play and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use the code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA at the Google Play or App Store, or use the code LOCKEDONMLB. Ibotta. Go check them out. Passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships. It also keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motor has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performances. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need and all the prices you want, it's easy to make the car your MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit. Only available to U.S. customers. Hey, this is a reminder that Locked On has started the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. It's on YouTube and on the Amazon Fire TV app and the Free Fire TV channel app. Locked On Sports Today gives you all the best takes, news, analysis from the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. All right, let's take a look at the top 10 we have here. At number 10, staying at number 10 from last week, are the Kansas City Royals. The Royals have been playing pretty well. They won today. And they're holding their position at number 9, down a spot from last week, but still holding on to their spot too. They won again today. You have the Minnesota Twins. Then we have 7 and 8, and those are the most intriguing ones. I'm going to lump them together. 7, you have the Diamondbacks. 8, you have the Padres. Last week, the Diamondbacks were 25. And the Padres were 13. Okay, 25 is probably ridiculously low for the Diamondbacks last week. But as of this recording, the Diamondbacks have won their last 6 games, including 9 of their last 10. San Diego has also won 9 of their last 10 with a 3-game winning streak. We had Javi Reyes on yesterday talking about these two teams. But here's the thing. Do you want to know the thing? I'll tell you the thing. As of this recording, the Diamondbacks and the Padres are 2 games out of first. And not like percentage-wise or, no, just straight up. The Los Angeles Dodgers have 71 wins and 51 losses. Both Arizona and San Diego have 69 wins and 53 losses. There's roughly 40 games left, and only 2 games separate LA, Arizona, and San Diego. And what does that mean? That means the Dodgers, who after they acquired Shohei Ohtani, was written in ink to play in the World Series. They were written in ink that anything less than a World Series championship would be an utter failure for this team and the franchise. There's a chance they could finish 3rd. And not an absurd chance. There's no chance they're going to miss the postseason. They're going to make the postseason. But they could be a 3rd-place team. Now, that could be, we've seen teams go to the World Series recently who have fallen deep in the standings. But this LA team is supposed to win it all. And Arizona and San Diego are now making a real attempt, especially with the Dodgers losing their last 2 games. And who do the Dodgers play next? I mean, we're looking at these teams that are making a real, not a pie-in-the-sky move to take over first place. The Arizona Diamondbacks are going to be playing, who the heck do they play? D-backs are going to be playing the Rays. And the Rays, underestimate them at your own peril. But the D-backs are playing unbelievably great ball. The Padres are going to Coors Field and are playing one of the worst teams in baseball. The Dodgers are playing the Cardinals. The thing that should make you nervous with the Dodgers, TBD is pitching. They don't have the deep pitching staff, especially with Yamamoto still on the injured list. There is a chance that there could be a 3-way tie at the top of the National League West, and what chaos that would send the world into, which brings us to number 6. The Milwaukee Brewers, who have won 7 of their last 10 games, and as of this recording, are also 1 game back in the loss column and 2 games back in the win column of LA. In other words, the Brewers could pass LA and sit out the wild card series. It's a real possibility. LA is at number 5. By the way, still tied for the most wins in the National League. It's not like the Dodgers are bad. It's just they're allowing teams to catch up to them. Now, the Phillies went at number 4, and they have had a rough stretch of it. They've lost a bunch of games, but they've started to turn things around, especially with that big comeback win they had against Miami the other day. Weston Wilson hitting for the Cyclones, and the pitching and Wheeler pitching well again. The Phillies are going to do fine. I think that was just a hiccup. They still have a 7-game lead over the Braves. They're going to win the division handily. So I think at one point, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world to have a hiccup from time to time. The Guardians had a hiccup to the point where the Twins almost caught them. And now they're on a 5-game winning streak and giving themselves a nice 4-game buffer. They're at number 3. And number 2 are the Baltimore Orioles. Now, the Orioles, and I'll just say, the top 2 spots are the Orioles and the Yankees. They are, while technically the Guardians have the best win-loss record, in terms of percentage, the Orioles and the Yankees remain on top of the standings. And with that, the Yankees have had great performances by Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, and the Orioles have had Zach Eflin, who is just pitching terrific baseball. He's made 4 appearances with the Orioles, and he's won all 4 of them. So the Yanks and the Orioles have found out absolutely nothing about the top of the American League East with just about 40 games left. I think it's exactly 40 games left. They are even. So one of those 2 teams have to play better than the other, and we will see. All right, let's review the power rankings as they exist. From 1 to 10, Yankees, Orioles, Guardians, Phillies, Dodgers, Brewers, D-backs, Padres, Twins, and Royals. 11 through 20 are the Astros, the Red Sox, the Mets, the Braves, the Mariners, the Giants, the Cardinals, the Cubs, Rays, and Reds. And the bottom 10 are the Pirates, Tigers, Rangers, Blue Jays, Nats, Angels, A's, Rockies, Marlins, and of course, the White Sox. So tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit about previewing the weekend and also the notion of how do we keep starters in there longer. I came up with an idea a few years ago, and I'm standing by it. All right, and I'm getting back to the trivia questions starting tomorrow, but I'm doing back-to-back episodes. We'll drop a trivia question at the end of tomorrow. Talking about the power rankings and the fact that Arizona and San Diego could be giving LA a run for their money. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.